Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and the marathon of projects continues. So what do we got this week? We are taking some neon fine glitter that I picked up at a hobby store. I've used this obviously in the past because it's more than halfway gone. And then we're going to take some black pigment dye, mix that together, and we're going to try to make something cool out of it, or at least try to get a cool effect. And I'll be honest, the effect that I got wasn't that cool, but once you get it turned down, it looks pretty awesome. So doing this in one of our more shallower bowls here. So got the epoxy already set up, add a copious amount of this glitter, a little bit of black dye in there, get everything mixed up nice and neat. Obviously here, sped up, it looks way cooler, but the dye is going to make this into like an olive drab kind of color. I might call this the olive drab bowl. I don't know. I still haven't decided as I do this commentary. This was part of the marathon of projects that I did back in March. 2.5 weeks, we did almost nearly 20 projects in such a short amount of time because of a work issue. You guys are probably watching this in the early fall, so this is part of that project set. So 4.5 hours in the pressure pot, getting this out of the mold here, and you get this. It looks olive drab. If you don't know what olive drab is, imagine the military army uniforms back in the 70s and 60s. That's kind of what this looks like with some glitter in it, and it looks okay, but not the cool color I was going for with that neon. Obviously, when I put the black on there, it made the color a little bit darker, which is fine. It'll look really cool once we actually get this taken down on the lathe. So don't be stingy with your hot glue. Like I say every week, don't be stingy with your hot glue. So getting everything all nice and set up, getting that piece of pine on there. Then we're going to go ahead and get the faceplate put on. Boop, boop. Make sure not to sorry, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing this commentary, by the way. You guys are watching this in September. I'm doing this commentary in March before I have to leave for like a 9-month work thing. So a little tired. I do apologize. But getting everything on there nice and neat, and now we're going to get this on the lathe and get this turned down right now. Right meow. So here we are getting the superficial layer off like we typically will do. That's the most important part. Doing these in these Tupperware bowls, there are some like weird, it's not exactly round the way that you want it to be. So you have to get a little bit of the material off, and you're trying to save as much material as possible. The bad thing about doing these like shallower type of bowls is that you take off a lot of material. So the project ends up being a little bit more shallow, a little bit less than what you originally went in there thinking. But that's a great example of it right there, that little divot in there, and we're having to take more and more material off. But overall, that's not going to be a real big issue in the long run. You just, unfortunately, are going to end up with a smaller project. And there I go, back and forth, start the lathe, stop the lathe, and it just won't go away. So I'm just like, oh my God, please stop. Because once you get into that nice cylinder, you don't want to, keep turning it like that. But we made it work. Make it work, people. That's what you got to keep doing. So tailstock is still on there, and now we're just taking off that superficial bottom, getting everything nice and neat and even. Coming back, just making sure everything is nice and flush, and obviously the ribbons coming off look really good. So we're getting a lot of good material off, and that's always a good sign when you do these projects like that. So once we get all that finished, then we can start making the mortise. And there's a little bit of a divot in there, and we got to come back and fix that just like we did the edge work on the sides there. So once we got that all nice and round, even the way that we want to, I'm going to go ahead and start making the mortise. Instead of using the square carbide tool, I just was going back and forth with a lot of these projects between the round and the square carbide tool when I was forming this mortise. And the bad thing about these projects being this shallow and not being a very big blank itself is that the deeper you go with the mortise, obviously that's less depth that you're going to get on the actual gouge itself. So you got to be really careful when you do this. Size everything up. Just take off just enough material to where you can actually reverse it onto the chuck. So once we get that done, now we're just going to go ahead and take the faceplate off, and then I'll show you what's left of the material here. And obviously not very big. It's a little bit bigger than the actual pine board itself that we used for the faceplate, but overall not too bad. So coming back and forth, I thought it was going to be slick and use the parting tool to get that pine board off, but obviously that didn't work out the way I'd imagined, so I just had to come back, hit it with a large gouge. And it's really not an issue when you get this pine board off because it's just scrap anyway. So all you want to do is just go on there and just take layer by layer off. And this is actually kind of enjoyable for me, taking all those layers off. So really not a big issue. So once we get that part off, now we're just going to make everything nice, even, and flush. Obviously that hot glue will gum up the tool, so that's just something to be mindful of. You want to make sure you get that taken off before you get like a catastrophic chip out, which will, really ruin your day. So anyway, now we're starting the gouging part, which did not take long. This is a little bit of an easier project here. Material came off really well. You can see the good shavings, the good ribbons that we're getting off here, and just working our way from the inside or from the outside in once we get that initial gouge going. So this part went relatively well. Big thing you want to remember here, if you're going to do projects like this that are this small, is you want to be mindful of the depth of it, because you don't want to go too deep and punch through the mortise, and then you're going to just have nothing to show for it at the end. So now we're just doing some edge work here with the large round carbide tool, getting to the depth of the lips of the bowl that we want it to be. Nothing too thick, but just making sure that it's just like this nice little dish. This is more of a dish than a bowl, I would say. And then we're just getting a feel for the edges here, and then we're at a nice depth that we like. So even though that was a very small project, you can see all the shavings from one project. And once we sand this up, this is going to look really neat. And they, bam, look at that giant mess of resin shavings. I mean, like I said, this is part of the 2.5-week marathon that we did back in March, and you guys are probably watching this in the fall, trying to get everything set up because I will be at a work function that'll keep me away from the workshop. So I just wanted to make sure that we had videos for the channel while I was gone. So here we are doing a little bit of wet sanding, 340 all the way up to 1500, and then coming back and hitting it with the micro mesh. Looks really good, actually. I love this color. I'm probably going to call this the olive drab bowl. The neon really didn't come out, but I really do like the color. When you do put the wood wax on there and get it in the sun and getting it into the light, you can really see the way it looks. So really happy with it overall. Even though it was a smaller project, it was still fun to do, fun to put together. I love doing these projects, obviously, and we got it done. That's all that really matters. So hope you guys really liked the project. Hope you guys got something out of it. I know I had a really good time making it. But hey, don't forget to subscribe, like it, all that stuff. Hopefully everybody's doing well. You guys are probably really watching this in September, more than likely. But overall, fun project. Camera work needs a lot of help though. But overall, really happy. So a little bit of a spin. That's what it looks like on the lathe. It makes it look really cool. And then once we'll stop it, you can really see the color. Look at that. Looks pretty amazing. If the camera would focus. But anyway, hope you guys liked it. Hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope everybody's doing well. All right. Peace. All right. So project is done. And my camera is starting to take a poo-poo on me. So this is one of the last projects I'm doing for the marathon. There's one more epoxy project after this, and there will be 2 more wood projects I got to get through, and a small little bowl. There's a lot left to do. Oh my god. But this little guy didn't give me a whole lot of problems. Don't know what I'm gonna call this one. This is just a green. You can kind of see the black swirls on the bottom of it. Not too bad overall. Liked it. Smaller project. This is the last night for the marathon. We're gonna work in the morning and then we'll be done. So you guys are probably, I don't even know when you guys are watching this. Maybe early summer, late fall, November, who knows. But part of the marathon projects. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys got something out of it. Nothing too exciting here. Camera's gonna take a shit on me. Fuck. But anyway, hope you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.